Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Subscription Scaled. I'm your host, Nick Frederick. With me today is Scott Draper, who is the founder and owner of Clubs Northwest. Scott, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here, Nick. Great to spend time with you again. I've been looking forward to this.
I am as well. So for our listeners who might not know you or might not know about the clubs, tell us a little bit about your background.
Oh, wow. Well, like most of us, I've done a lot of different things. Started my career in the well-being industry, as I see it, as a tennis pro, and had some wonderful adventures traveling around the world and working for some great companies, and just having a good time, and learned a lot there, and moved into quite a few other entrepreneurial opportunities from there, all in the well-being space.
Okay. So what led you to start a club?
You know, that's an interesting question. I was, and this is 30 plus years ago, I was working at a resort in Southern California, had a little bit of time off. We were in the desert, hot in the summer, and took a little time off and found an opportunity. I wasn't really looking for it, yet an opportunity came to me to buy a small health club in Southern Oregon. And I did it. And, I didn't know what I was doing at all, because I was used to being in an industry working at top end resorts. And I worked for PepsiCo for about 12 years and did some traveling and did a lot of events around the world. So I got to see some really great resorts. And I was clueless, because the first thing I realized once I bought this is, wow, I'm trying to get people to pay for something that they used to have to do when they got in trouble. Fitness, right? Give me 20.
Interesting way to look at it.
Run 10 laps, whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
So we brought some innovation to it and have had some fun successes.
Yeah. Well, let's you've been at this a long time, and in a lot of ways, fitness clubs are the original subscription companies. It was the recurring revenue, get somebody to sign up, and then hope that they use it and get some value out of it. But to be honest, fitness clubs have gotten a bit of a bad rap for a lot of years. A lot of these are signing people up and hoping that they almost don't use it, right, and kind of forget about that $10 or $20 charge that's hitting their bank account every month. You and I talked about this a little previously, but you have a pretty different philosophy there. So tell us kind of your approach.
We do, and unfortunately, I think a lot of us have earned that reputation, not only with the operations of selling full lifetime memberships. How can we promise that and things like that? And I don't think that there was anybody. I really don't. I know a lot of folks in the industry, and I don't think there was anybody twisting their mustaches trying to do this to folks. I really don't. I think it's such a fledgling industry, and people get excited, and it to a great extent is based on hope, and the model. And there was a lot of faux pas in there, though, that affected how people see us now. And we like to see it as, we don't really even call ourselves a gym. It's very different. We've been focusing on the whole person from day one. In fact, the International Health Racket and Sports Club Association called us early on. Club Northwest has existed as it is for, of course, it changes a lot and morphs, yet it's been there in that location for 25 years. And the International Health Racket and Sports Club Association called us ahead of the curve 20 years ago for our focus on the whole person. And I would say even more than what they saw, I think it really is about our focus on people in general, starting with the well-being of our team. And I think if there's one thing I can share to fellow entrepreneurs, and it absolutely applies to the subscription business, is people still are the drivers. In fact, we say at Club Northwest, in a world betting on technology, we bet on people. And even if that is, and I understand, we really like technology. In fact, we're right in the middle of a process of creating our own bespoke, complete operating software for Club Northwest. And we understand the value, the deep value of the right technology. Yet if that technology puts people second, I don't think it's a long-term win, and I don't think it's what we call a win-win-win. And when you create that kind of energy of a win-win-win, anything is possible.
So give us an example of a win-win-win.
Well, I can give you, I'll give you as many as you want. I'll start. One is our ambassador program at Club Northwest. And I think this would apply, although we're a bricks and mortar, we do a lot of virtual and things. So yet, you know, even for someone that is really just in a non bricks and mortar business, I think this stuff applies. Use your imagination, folks. So this was maybe 10 years ago, and we were needing to do a dues adjustment. And that adjustment was up, not down. And I got a little scared. I'd already done quite a few. We don't have a monthly, or excuse me, a yearly automatic dues adjustment. So when we need to do it because of expenses, and I was a little scared about this one. So I got together with my team and we thought about what could we do to create a win-win-win. So we created the ambassador program. And how this looks, and it's been a big success, is we offered our members, because we had this picture of a member coming in and saying, I think it was only maybe a 5% adjustment at that time. Yet whether it was the person's perception, the member's perception, or reality, and sometimes, as you know, being in the subscription business, we have to see those as one and the same thing. In a lot of cases, we knew we were going to get people coming in and saying, I can't afford this, or I don't want to do this, whatever that would be. So we were ready with the ambassador program. The member could simply sign up. They would put a bumper sticker on their car, just a small, discreet sticker, of course, promoting Club Northwest in a very fun way. They would also put, and they had the option when we first started this, now we've put them together as one, they would also have an option of putting a yard sign in their yard, like a political sign.
Yep.
And that again would be in a really fun way, a non-solicitory way, promoting Club Northwest. We would pay them $20 a month if they did both of those, and we had split it up in the original, now it's together. And we would pay them $20 a month. We made it easy on ourselves in that they needed to send in a photo of that on their car and in their yard. And that photo had to have a new date on it every month. And they needed to do it 10 days before their billing cycle for that month. If they didn't, too bad. They lost out, and they knew that right from the beginning. Okay. We've had hundreds of people on this program over the years. Now, Club Northwest at its high pre-COVID was 10,000 members. We're at around 8,000 now, a little under 8,000, and building back up. Yet, I mean, how much advertising would we get for $20 a month? There's really nothing you can get out there for that. And then it was for real, because it was from constituents. It was from people that were like the people that we wanted to be at Club Northwest. So it's been a huge success, a huge success. And we have many examples of those. I can give you more, yet for sake of time, I'll let you drive that. We have many examples of win-win-win. Now, I do want to add one thing to this, one caveat. So now those yard signs literally are a black sign. And you might notice I live in black and white. This is my home office, and this is where I'm writing my book, and I use my walls as they change daily. And so I still play with
love it,
with chalk. The beautiful thing is we have now changed our message, and well-being to us is from the inside out. And our message now on these yard signs that people take, and it's actually upped our people that have been in the ambassador program, simply on a black sign, say in Nike-esque simple writing in white, love conquers all. And it's really started kind of this fun conversation and a little bit of a revolution here in our community. So really, that's a win-win-win. That would be one example I would give you that has come out to be a win-win-win.
So a couple of questions there. The $20 that you're giving, did that roughly equal the 5% price point increase that you guys were doing at the time?
No, substantially more. So really? At the time, when 10 years ago or so when we did this, I think it was a $4 adjustment.
Wow. Wow.
So again, we doubled down. And if you double down on the right people, it's the greatest bet. The right people that are either you want connected to you or are already, even better yet, are already connected to you and are at some level, if they're connected to you, they're supporting you. Double down, triple down, quadruple down on them, and be smart about it though. Do it in a way that everybody wins. And we're open with our members. We tell them, yes, absolutely. When someone comes in and we give them the option of a year or 2-year agreement, they say, well, that's just you trying to get our money. Yeah, we would like your money. And let's go out and show you what we do with your money. We're good stewards of it. And that creates more than a customer. That creates a relationship. And people don't leave friendships very easily when they've been taken care of. Yeah.
Right. So with this $20 per month incentive, have you guys been able to kind of track the data to prove the ROI on that sort of incentive? Or what did you see in the months immediately following, rolling that out?
Great question. Most of it is anecdotal. I have experiences myself because I'm not involved with operations anymore at the club with all my other projects yet. Myself, when I was 10 years ago, just anecdotally, the people that came in and said, are you kidding me? Really? And so, to me, the energy is everything. And if I can understand that energy of what happens with one person, I make a lot of extrapolations in how it's happening with a lot of others. And we don't dismiss collecting data and even big data. Yet, we really stay in what we call our will powers, our imagination, our intuition, our perception, our will, and our reason. Those things that were trained out of us. We were born with all those, and we were ready to create magic. And then we learned all the other dances, right? The be safe dances and all the things that are placed in our subconscious. And now we're always playing in that arena. So I love data anytime I can get it. Yet our focus really is on how do we create energy? And there's intuition involved with that. There just is.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because you said a second ago you used to do the yard signs that were promoting the club. Then you started putting a simple sign out there that is love conquers all to start a conversation. What was the thought process behind that? And then what is some of the anecdotal evidence you've seen of that kind of playing out?
Yeah, we're in the well-being business, and our message is we have 4 core values. I happen to have this. It's in my pocket at all times, and I took it out right before we started this. This is our Surreyors Guide, and a Surreyor is a servant leader, a service leader that is first a well-being themselves, because Horace said a long time ago, nemo dat quod non habet. We cannot give what we have not got. So we spend a lot of time, energy, and money on from the hiring process all the way through training and the rewarding process to make sure our Surreyors are healthy. These 4 values, these 4 core values that we have right here, and I don't know if you can see them on there.
You might get it a little closer.
Right at the top there.
Okay.
Yeah, choose abundance.
Okay.
You see that one? Practice excellence.
Not that one. Yep.
Own it.
Yep.
And well together. And our last supporting core value here is change the paradigm, change the world. So we believe very strongly that there are connections everywhere, that everything is connected. So we really go out of our way. I mean, it's our life to be well ourselves and to spread that wellness. And we feel that message, love conquers all, is right at the middle of that message. Now, whatever name you use for that, people use all kinds of different names. Well-being is, to me, is a replacement word for love. It's like we're at that elevated state. We're living in that place of excellence where we know it. It's beyond just not being sick. It's it when you've had that moment, when you've had that place with your business. I mean, I'm passionate about business. I love it. I think for-profit business is the greatest vehicle we have for actual personal and human growth, evolutional growth. I
I
really
agree.
believe that. So when we look at that message and put an even bigger message out there that doesn't say, hey, Club Northwest is great, we're better than the one next door, come to us. People appreciate that. They get it. It resonates at a deeper level. And isn't that the magic of the greatest SaaSes that we have, the greatest, even the technological things that just excite us? You know, when we first got that iPhone and we went, man, someone left a love print here. This wasn't just, hey, let's make a phone. And someone really loved this thing, knowing that I was going to hold this someday. That's magic. And when we put that message out there, that's what we've seen over and over again. We randomly give out roses at the club, a single rose, just front desk. When people are coming by, they're leaving, we give it. Hilarious stuff. I mean, you see a big gym guy giving a rose to another big gym guy, and of course,
Yeah.
the big gym guy that gets it says, "Oh, I'll give this to my wife." It just breaks down all those barriers to go. I think to just go next level. Isn't that what we're all seeking? That next experience, because there's so many that are the same.
Yeah. Well, so a lot of this comes down to a consistent theme that we talk about on the show now as it relates to subscriptions, which is engagement. Or another way to say it is that ongoing relationship with your customer, right? That not just the old way of set it and forget it. It's now all about, I have to continuously deliver some sort of value. Canceling is too easy, money is scarce, and there's lots of alternatives, right? So you need to meet them wherever they are. You guys have clearly put a lot of thought into the different ways that I can engage with consumers. But to be fair, you've probably got a lot of consumers that are in different places, right? Emotionally, spiritually, physically. And there's probably some people that are looking for a place to go work out, or at least that's what they think they're looking for, right? When they walk through the door. How do you guys strive to meet customers kind of, or your members where they are at their point in that journey?
Wow, that's a great question. You know, I study leadership a lot, and there's a military leadership tenet, or really a process that's been around for many, many years, and a lot of great CEOs use it as well. And it's called tight, loose, tight. And think about this in battle. It makes a lot of sense. And what are we, hopefully our business days aren't battle every day, yet really we're in something to win it, right? And it's important. Whatever business you're doing, I guarantee you it is important, or you wouldn't be doing it. So the tight part, the first part, is make sure that everybody that's involved on your team knows exactly what you want to do. Clarify it, make it crystal clear. And then, and this is with any campaign, large or small, and then at the end, that tight at the end is make sure they all know exactly what it looks like when you've hit that. And then leave the middle loose. That's where the magic happens. And I know so many leaders. I have a executive development program. It's called Quantum Leap Executive Coaching. I have a lot of executives in there, and we talk about this. A lot of times we get involved in all the middle stuff. That's right where we shouldn't be. Even if we can make it all work in there, we've taken all the mojo out of the magic of what can happen at the end, and then how to grow the next time when you have a whole team that realizes they just won the battle. I think it was Lao Tzu that said, and this is a paraphrase, yet when the goal is met by the best leader, the people say, we did it. So tight, loose, tight. Let your team be creative and figure out, we're all creative beings. And when we can work in an environment that's creative, and I think a lot of, like with SaaS apps, a lot of times what happens is there's so much room to move there. In a bricks and mortar business like Club Northwest, there's not as much room to move usually. So you can make up for not a great work environment by paying people a lot of money. Well, if you can pay them a lot of money, pay them a lot of money and create an environment where they get to be themselves, where they can be well and be creative, because that's the juice that makes us all go, is when I get a chance to show up as me and be creative. That's it. I mean, we've heard that Drive, Daniel Pink's book Drive, it shows the number one driving force, intrinsic force inside of us is our need to master our environment. Give your team an opportunity to do that. And it's a super simple plan. Just simply make them know clearly what it is you want to achieve. Then down at the bottom, give them right from the beginning exactly what it looks like when you have achieved that. And then in the middle, let them go and just watch them go. And of course, you're not just going to walk away. You're just going to kind of be there with them and watch. And what you're there to do is say, wow, well done, right? And maybe once in a while you have to steer. Yet remember that behavior recognized is often repeated. So if you're, and it doesn't matter if it's good or bad behavior, if you're focusing on what they're doing wrong, that's what you're going to get more of. It's just how our minds work, because our subconscious, it loads down there, and then 90% of our behavior comes from our subconscious, and we're not even aware of most of it.
Okay. So can you give me some examples of how that's clearly how you want to treat, every member of the team? How is that then translated into the way that your customers, your members, interact with it? Because it obviously there's the facility, right, itself. There's the physical brick and mortar, there's the machines and all of the different, physical activities that you guys have inside the building, which is of course very important. But it sounds like, each of your team members creating that environment where people can come, thrive, feel like they can get involved and being part of that community is equally as much, if not more so, part of the experience that you're delivering. So talk about, or maybe if you can walk us through some examples of how that plays out.
Well, that's a great point. And I think the most important thing that I've learned over time, and keep in mind, Club Northwest for many years and will continue to be, it's just a great, in fact, someone told me this just the other day, a business associate said, what you have there is just a laboratory. You're just playing in all these things and figuring them out, aren't you? So I don't want to pretend to be the greatest expert in the world in any of this stuff. I'm learning. We're all learning, right? What I would say in that is make sure that you understand what your first order of business is, and clearly understand your purpose. Because you cannot be shy with your team or your members about your first order of business. And I haven't seen a for-profit business yet that isn't, that first order of business isn't profit, period. I think you should be open and honest with that. I think you should share with people what happens, not only your staff, yet your customers, your members, whatever that is in your format. Be open and honest what that means for them. Yeah, you want to make a profit. You want us to make a profit. Then secondly, know clearly your purpose. How I present that to my team when I get a new team member is our first order, I say it this way in this order, our first order of business is profit. Our purpose is our members and guests' experience of well-being here now. Mm-hmm. So, and they start connecting the dots of how, like when our members really experience that highest mission, we make more profit. They like us more. They keep paying their dues happily. Yeah. And like in our model at Club Northwest, 2019, 62% of our total revenue was from non-dues revenue. And a small portion of that was personal training. I mean, that used to be in our industry, non-dues revenue and personal training were synonymous. Not at Club Northwest. We have a different model. So, and we have a very strong dues line. It's just that we bring a lot in from all the other stuff that we do right there and, on that campus. So, I would say those are the things. Clarify that with not only your team, and the more things you can be honest with your team, this is a test, I think. The more things that you really drive, that you can say the same thing to anybody on your team and the same thing to any of your customers, that's going to create success. That goes a long way to create success. When we have all these little silos of, oh, don't tell them this, don't tell them this, is chaos, not the energy you want to grow your business.
Yeah. I have definitely been in those environments where it felt like information was siloed, that they were only supposed to know this, and these guys, this department over here is only supposed to know that. Um, Obviously, there's a lot of problems with that, but I think one of the biggest things is just trust, right? You never know that the message that you're hearing is this ever the complete message, even if it might sound like it is. Can you ever really know that?
Yep. Yeah, look at your heroic businesses, the businesses that you really look up to that have scaled next level. Look at that one thing. Can that CEO say the same thing to everybody that's involved, all the stakeholders? And I think you're going to find the ones that are your heroes can, to a great degree. That is one of the formulas that creates magical success, not just we did it well.
Well, I want to go back to, you were talking about the non-dues revenue and 62% of it, coming from that type of source. What other things besides personal training do you guys have, and how are you continuing to focus on that? Because that's probably, I would, seems intuitive, but you also said it's kind of a non-standard metric. Usually it's kind of the reverse of that, right?
Absolutely. And it's funny when you ask it that way, because we have to do it in any moment of time, because like I said, we're a laboratory. So if you asked me that 2 years ago, I would tell you something a little different. And it's not that we just wholesale change everything. Today, and for many years now, we've had great success with a full spa and medi spa.
Okay.
Medical director, and the whole thing. And we do it innovatively, and we really focus on the experience and the energy of that space. We have one of the largest indoor play centers for kids in the country, in Kid Zone. And we have some very innovative programs there. And how we've done it, and I think this will apply to a lot of membership businesses, what we've done is we've separated, actually physically, areas of the club. So when you come into Club Northwest, you're not necessarily in the private athletic club or the private health club yet. This is how you can access all these things. On one side, the spa; on the other side, Kid Zone; and all the way in between, New You, which is our food and beverage and nutritional supplement offering. The Pro Shop. We've got partners, or as you might expect, our partners are very important to us. So we've partnered with companies like Lululemon, Prana, Life is Good, and even Tom's Shoes, which, giving back is a big part of our core values. And we partner with companies that do the same. Then personal training. We do very innovative personal training. We have a lot of medical fitness programs. For instance, we have a program called Rock Steady that is a boxing program specifically for Parkinson's patients. Oh, wow. One of my favorite places to go if I'm ever feeling like I need a pick-me-up. I go to that class and I sit with the spouses and the significant others and talk to them. And every time I go out with happy tears. I mean, it's game-changing stuff when you have somebody that just had given up, and now we have some that are working again. I have a guy that's he goes out to his wood shop or his workshop now and works on wood. He had to give up power tools before with his shakes. I've got a guy that's reading the newspaper again, things like that. So really? We do a lot of innovative things in there. Probably the most innovative thing, and this came from our focus on the whole person for 25 years. Over years, we've developed a program for all new members called My Path to Wellbeing. It's a 90-day program, and we actually have health and life coaches that oversee that first 90 days, because we had a franchise brand for many years called The New Well. And I founded this brand, bought a current brand, and morphed it into The New Well. And we had franchisees from Georgia to San Diego. And what I found in there is this is all inside stuff. The behavior change it takes to get fit physically is inside stuff. And so my path really focuses on the whole person. Now, it was really interesting, Nick, that you said, people are coming in looking for a gym. We still have a lot of that. And how we, on a practical level, to answer your previous question, how we deal with that is, again, remember, tight, loose, tight. We give our team a lot of room to have a conversation. So someone comes in, and I remember there was an older gentleman who was in his 60s, and I think at the time he was still bench pressing. If I remember right, it was in the high threes or maybe even 400 pounds. And this guy knew his way around a gym. He'd lived in a gym for some time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we told him about my path, and he just kind of giggled, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I could teach you guys. I think he even said, I can teach you guys something, And so what our team did is say, great. Well, go to this beginning appointment, and it's with Caleb, who's a fairly new personal trainer, and I'll bet you could teach him a lot, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Bill showed up, and he said, well, I'll go for a few minutes. It's an hour-long appointment. Talked to Caleb later, and it went way past an hour. Caleb couldn't get rid of him. So again, guys, tight, loose, tight. Tight, loose, tight. Give your team room to run. Let them use their creativity.
Yeah. I like that approach. It's very interesting. You were saying before that, that you're pre-COVID, you're not quite back to where you were. How are you guys most effectively bringing on new members today? Are you doing outreach marketing, active marketing? Are you relying on referrals, a combination of those things?
That's a really great question. It was interesting. I think we didn't suffer as much as most. We built up so much trust. In fact, we had to hire an attorney to allow the company we're currently working with, and I understand their side of this. They weren't going to allow us to continue to bill during the times we were closed. Well, our members were calling us in droves saying, please keep billing me. We want to support you guys. And we actually were able to do that. And the company that is great that we work with, I understand their side of it. They just didn't want to be liable for anything there.
Yeah. Sure.
So the reason I'm answering your question this way is there are no fast fixes, I don't think. I think you can do a fast fix if people sense that you've changed permanently and that they're going to be able to trust deeply in the future, because people do give us a chance. Yet we had built up so much trust before that we didn't have, I think we're getting close to 30% of the health clubs or gyms in the United States have closed now through COVID. And we just didn't have the problems. And this might, this might help might be a thought that might spur something. What we did is we social media like crazy and got out there that, come on, just let us know what you want us to do. Okay. The default is we'll keep going. And when people came back, we gave them 100% credit. We'd write them a check for the dues they paid during the time we weren't open, or we would credit them for future dues, or we would give them a gift card for 150% of what they had paid. And that gift card could be used for everything inside Club Northwest except membership. Okay. So we needed, you could imagine, with pre-COVID, 62% of our income coming from non-dues revenue, we needed to restart this stuff. So that was, again, another example of a win-win-win.
Yeah, awesome. That's you don't often hear that situation where, due to COVID, you're shut down and yet your members are going, please, I want to pay you.
Yes. And then I think our reaction to it was just next level, building more trust. I mean, that I heard many members say, let me get this right. You're going to give me 150%? Yes. Now, we do our best to operate with open hearts and organized minds. When people see our signs, Love Conquers All, sometimes they think, a bunch of fruity nuts or whatever they're doing.
Uh-huh.
Now, there's a way humans work well, and there's a way that humans don't work well. And if we don't work together, I mean, take a look at the news. If we don't work together, we all have problems, and we're getting to the point where everything affects everything, right?
Yeah. Right.
It always did. We just didn't know it, and we're starting to see it now. So when we do something like that, it just builds to the next level. Now, think about this though. The majority of things that they could use that on, that 150%, our cost was half of that. So we literally ended up, talk about a win-win-win, spending less money that way.
Right.
They're much more happy,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody wins.
Yeah.
And the
It's a
reason
great
we call it
example.
a win-win-win, there's science to this. A lot of studies show serotonin is released when you receive a gift. If I give you a gift today, Nick, so if you receive that, serotonin will be released. You'll feel good.
Yep.
Serotonin is released in the giver too. I'm going to feel good. And
Right.
here's the cool part. Anybody watching, anybody that observes that, and this is why social media works when it's done right, you know, with love,
Mm-hmm.
then they receive a serotonin hit too. They feel better.
Hmm.
That's win-win-win.
Yeah, sure is. Well, you're working on a book right now, right, Scott? Tell us about that.
I am. The working title is simply Well.
Okay.
And it really is it's a path to leading your best life, mind, body, and spirit. And it comes from a lot of observing over a lot of years,
Mm-hmm.
and my own processes over a lot of years. And it really what it's about is it's a book about coming from well through an understanding of how we really work. We were born well, and it was to an extent taught out of us. And basically, we're here for a very specific purpose, I believe, each one of us. And if we don't fulfill that purpose, no one else will. It is our
Mm-hmm.
very specific purpose. And I don't believe we can be truly well, deeply well, without living that purpose. What happens though is when we were born, we were that little bundle of possibilities, and we were working through our imagination, our intuition, our perception, our will, our reason. I call those our well powers. They really are superpowers. If you look at the people that are super successful, and I was fortunate mostly during my tennis pro days to meet a lot of world leaders, to meet some of the best athletes in the world, to meet people that were at the top of the game. Mm-hmm. One of the things I experienced is they weren't competing. They were creating. They were in their own world. They were doing their own thing. They weren't competing with others. They were literally creating. Mm-hmm. Look at Elon Musk. I mean, that guy lives in his imagination, right? I mean, he just says things and we all go, oh, that can't happen. Well, the part of us that says, no, that can't happen, those are our paradigms. Those are built up over time. So here we are, this little person. We are living in that imagination, and then all those higher faculties, our intuition, those well powers. And then for good reason, we get taught things. We get taught to be safe. We learn from our parents. Now we learn paradigms from them. We got to remember that 90% of our behavior, and behavior is what is going to bring results. Whether you're a CEO of a big old company or whether you're a mom at home or whatever you're doing, your results are going to come from your behavior. That behavior is driven by our subconscious, not our thinking mind, not our conscious mind. We're not even aware of most of the things that drive our behavior. So what creates the knowing doing gaps? Fellow business leaders, how many times have you been in a great meeting and everybody's excited and you know what you're going to do and then we don't do it?
Yeah, right.
That's the knowing doing gap. We just knew of it. We didn't know it. To know it is to do it. So what happens is we're driven by these paradigms. And most of us have been downloaded all kinds of paradigms. Oh, Nick, don't worry. What's your last name, Nick?
Frederick.
Frederick. The Fredericks just aren't creative. Don't worry about it. You're just, and you hear that enough times, and before you're 6 or 7 years old, you don't have a conscious mind to say yes or no. It just downloads.
Yeah, sure.
So now we got all this stuff coming back up. And the book is about how to overcome that. It's simpler than you'd think. Now, here's the trick. You're coming from your paradigms, and your paradigms create your logic. Your paradigms create how you see the world. So your paradigms will tell you, oh, it can't be that easy. No, it's not that easy. It's not just about studying and learning how I really work. And then you have to do it again and again, because you got to reprogram. Because that's just your subconscious is just a recorder, and then it repeats back.
Yeah,
and it creates your self-talk, and your self-talk creates your self-image. And you can't outperform your self-image. So leaders out there, whatever it is that you're accomplishing, you can't perform your self-image. Do the work on yourself. And eventually I found that doing that work becomes play. And then the stuff I used to call work is like super play. It's just like stuff just happens, and it's absolutely fun.
Yeah,
so it's
work
about
doesn't become work
well-being
anymore. Yeah.
So this book is all about well-being, yet it's a very different angle. It's about coming from well-being instead of struggling to it. I can't tell you the number of executives or former executives that I've served, and we've made some progress with a lot of them, that I first met when they were on a treadmill, grinding it out, watching the news in one of my clubs, with two big bandages on both of their knees, and they were just making it happen. They were struggling towards well-being. I flipped the switch on that, and we just come from well-being, and it's pretty cool to watch. Pretty cool to watch how when someone's open to that, how they respond and how their life changes.
Well, that sounds like a pretty awesome book, and I can't wait to check it out once it comes out.
Thank you.
When yeah, you think it's going to be this year, or when are we going to see that?
2023.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a promise, and this is part of it. I have signed an accountability agreement to have the first draft done, and now I'm telling more people on January 31st of next year. So that's first draft.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's actually not that far away. When I said this year, I was forgetting about the fact that we're already, in the towards the end of 2022. So yeah, that's not too far down the road.
This is part of the book, is setting well goals. We can set what we call a goal, which really isn't. It doesn't really change us. A real goal is something that changes us. When we set a goal of something we've already done, that's not going to change us. When we set a goal of the one where we do all this strategy, we say, oh, if all these things will happen, then this will happen. That's kind of like bumping a long goal. There's nothing wrong with that, yet it's not going to inspire anybody.
Yeah,
a well goal is like this, like when you just said to me, that's not very long from now. my heart came up in my throat, and I went, you're right, Nick. That's a well goal, because it will change me. And I've already had been in that process of the writing I've done so far, is like, okay, this goal is it's the idea that is using me, and through that use, I'm growing. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very inspiring. Well, if any of the listeners today had questions about what we talked about, wants to learn more about you, maybe some of your executive coaching, or learn more about Club Northwest, where can they go?
Yeah, just send me an email. Send me an email. sdraper@littlebrown-acorn.com.
Easy enough. Awesome. We will definitely put
that
link in our show notes as well.
I'd love to hear from you. Love to hear what you're up to.
Awesome. Well, Scott, thanks so much for the time today, and appreciate everything you shared, and good luck with the book.
Thank you so much, Nick. Just really great being with you. Yeah. Best of luck to you and all the listeners.
Thank you.
Live well.